Good morning and welcome to Football League World TV. This is the EFL betting show. We do this every single Friday morning and look ahead to this weekend's EFL fixtures. We look through 4 different selections: the banker, the accumulator, the value bet, and the wild card. As ever, please do gamble responsibly, 18 and over. My name is Sam Rourke, the chief editor of footballleagueworld.co.uk, and I'm joined by 2 of my colleagues, Billy Mulley and Ned Holmes. Billy, how are you getting on this morning?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Just told you before that I feel quite confident with my picks. I've done a bit more research than I tend to do, so yeah, I'm feeling quietly confident.
That's good to hear. And Ned, how are you getting on this morning, mate?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. Excited to sort of get back to a weekend of the FA action after this unpredictable third round of the FA Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a full fixture list across the 3 EFL divisions. 1 postponement so far. Barnsley v Blackpool has been called off due to COVID-19, the situation at the clubs. But lots to get involved with this weekend. Let's get straight into it. So just to reiterate, please do gamble responsibly, 18 and over. Right, we're going to start off with the bankers then in the EFL this weekend. Billy, what is your banker of the weekend in the EFL?
Unfortunately, Sam, it's Middlesbrough to beat Reading at 1-2. I mean, I just think purely looking at Middlesbrough at this point, 16 points from the last 6, in quite a difficult run into. Chris Wilder has transformed the club. Listening to Middlesbrough fans, there's a real sense that the club has been transformed and fans can feel it too. It just seems that they're on this upward trajectory, and I can't imagine that stopping against the Reading side, who have struggled massively in recent weeks. You go back to the 7-0. I know that was what spurred Blackburn on to an incredible run, but I'm not too sure if that's going to be the case at the Select Carly Singh Stadium. Going back to Wilder, doing an incredible job. He's got that knowledge and experience of guiding the team up to the Premier League, and I think this is sort of the crunch time now for Middlesbrough and sort of the point where they'll go and continue and go on to good things this season. So at 1-2, I think Middlesbrough to beat Reading should be one to come in.
Yeah, I'd say that's certainly a very, very safe bet, judging on what I've seen from the Reading over the last week. Ned, let's come to you then. What is your banker in the EFL this weekend?
I'm down in League 2 for my banker, which is Tranmere to win against Rochdale. Rochdale obviously put a bit of a decent run together at the end of the year, but Jake Beasley and Aaron Morley now both departing. I think that's really going to damage them. That they've already sort of stumbled a little bit, and now they travel to face Tranmere, who obviously, they can't keep defying the XG table forever, Tranmere. But I do think they'll have enough to sort of sweep past Dale this weekend. So that's 23-20. So £5 returns 10.75, and I just think that's a real banker.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like a solid bet there. Obviously, Tranmere also boosted by the addition of Kane Hemmings from Burton Albion, some extra firepower for Mickey Mellon's side. There we go. Billy opting for Middlesbrough to beat Reading on Saturday. Ned opting for Tranmere to beat Rochdale as both of their bankers. Let us know in the comments, what do you make of Billy and Ned's selections so far? Right, let's look at the accumulator next. Right then, Billy, what is your ACCA for this weekend in the EFL?
So I've gone for a 4-fold, starting with Middlesbrough to beat Reading as my banker. Going through that again, 16 points from the last 6 from Wilder's men, defensively speaking as well. They've been very resilient. 2 goals shipped in the last 6. The arrival of Balogun is going to be another boost and another reason as to why I can see this one coming in. And Reading, I don't remember a club with so many crucial injury blows throughout this season, and it's just been so difficult to pick themselves up from that. I think Paunovic has been put in a very, very difficult position, and it just doesn't seem to be improving as of yet. Next one is Ipswich to beat Bolton. I think McKenna is starting to get things right there. Looking at Bolton a little bit, that they seem to be on this downward trajectory. They started the season as sort of playoff hopefuls, and now they're sliding into relegation contention. I think Morley will be a good signing But similar to Reading, they've been dealt some very harsh injury blows in recent weeks and throughout the last couple of months. And Ipswich are finding their feet. They've got the squad. They've got the manager now on board. They've seemingly getting the fans back on board as well. So it seems that Ipswich have turned a corner, and I can imagine them going to Bolton and getting a positive result. Also got Rotherham to beat Fleetwood. Fleetwood have been dealt the blow of Callum Morton departing and leaving to go on loan to Peterborough. So I feel in terms of attacking firepower, they might sort of lose that in a respect. They're yet to beat a team in the top 12 at home as well. So Fleetwood have struggled against the big teams in the division at home this season. Going to Rotherham, last time out they did lose at Accrington, but I still feel they've got everything. They've pretty much the most complete team in the division. They've got the manager who's got experience of guiding them to the Championship. They've got a very strong squad. It doesn't seem that they'll make too many changes in January as well. So there's not too much pressure on them, I don't feel, in the January transfer window, and I don't think that will spire into their performances. And they were on an 18-game unbeaten run, just showing that when they do hit form, they are very, very strong, and I think quite rightfully atop of the table. My last one is Mansfield to beat Walsall, and this is predominantly to do with Mansfield's form at the moment. That they've won 8 in their last 9 to transform themselves into a team threatened by relegation, into a team that are on the edge of the playoffs, and I can't see anything changing all of a sudden there. They're very strong at home as well and won their last 5, and I guess that's all pointing towards another victory. Walsall had a very disappointing loss at Stevenage, inconsistent form as well. They're not the worst team in the world, but they are a side that haven't been able to find that consistency factor. They do pick up good wins, but they do have disappointing blows in losses like the one at Stevenage. All of them, so Middlesbrough, Ipswich, Rotherham and Mansfield, 9.35 to 1.
Some good odds there. I could see that one coming in for sure, actually. As ever, please do gamble responsibly, 18 and over. What do you make of Billy Mulley's accumulator? Let us know in the comments. Ned, what's your racker then for this weekend?
Well, actually, listening to some of Billy's selections, I feel like maybe I should have added a few into mine, but I've got enough in there. It's a sixfold. It's a fairly safe one, I think. Tranmere, obviously, as I explained above, but I just don't see Rochdale scoring, so it's Tranmere and no for me. I do think there'll be goals at Wimbledon versus Morecambe. I think really both teams will score there, as the stats speak for themselves. The highest in Morecambe and the 6th highest in Wimbledon in terms of goals conceded in League One this season, and both around 59%, both teams to score. So it looks to be goals in that one for me. Wigan to beat Doncaster. Obviously, Doncaster in rank form at the moment and really struggling. And Wigan, I think the Latics are going to be sort of chomping at the bit to really get back into League One action and re-establish themselves really at the top of the table. They really impressed me in both cups this month, and I think it'll be 3 more points for them when they are back in League One action. And then moving on to Blackburn Cardiff. I've got draw of Blackburn. I feel like Mowbray's side really should have enough to get past Cardiff, but Morrison's side can be difficult, and so I just wanted to put that sort of extra security in there. And then I've got draw or Sunderland as well. I mean, obviously midweek was a disappointing result, but you're not going to get a Chris Maguire hat-trick against you every week, and those Sunderland were really poor themselves. I'm expecting a response from Lee Johnson's side, and Accrington, as we know, obviously a good team and proved that against Rotherham. But I've got Sunderland or draw. It's actually a 5-fold, not a 6-fold. Yeah. But yeah, so that's Tranmere and no. Wimbledon, Morecambe, both teams to score. Wigan to beat Doncaster. Blackburn or draw, and Sunderland or draw, 16.72 to 1. So £5 returns 88.64, and I feel like it's a sort of nice middle ground between, it's generating a fair bit, but it seems fairly secure and not that risky to me.
Yeah, very nice, like that, Ned. Lots of different types of bets within that 5-fold. Let us know in the comments what you make of Ned Holmes' accumulated there. I do fancy that one, I must admit. Right, let's look at the value bets next. Just a reminder, if you're watching this, whether it be on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, send in your comments. We will get your bets live up on the show and discuss them in some good detail. Billy, let's get your value bet then for this weekend.
I've gone for Nottingham Forest to beat Millwall and both teams to score. I think that the Den hasn't been as much of a fortress as it usually is this season. A few dodgy home results have crept in this season, something we don't typically associate with Millwall. I do feel like they are still to be considered sort of outside playoff contenders. But at the moment, I think Forest are in the ascendancy. Jed Wallace as well. I think from reading this morning that he could be back in the lineup for the Forest game. Obviously, Forest are one of the clubs that are in for him at the moment. So I feel that his head's going to be everywhere. He seems to be the man in demand at the moment. In terms of his fitness levels, I don't expect him to be as sharp and as dominant and influential as he usually is. So in that respect, I don't think Mill will be firing on all cylinders. You go back to the performance against Crystal Palace, started off well, but tailed off, and that could sort of creep into this game. Forest, on the other hand, will be on cloud nine after beating Arsenal. The two new signings, Steve Cook and Keenan Davis, both played really, really good parts in that. Cook, I think, will be a major part in strengthening the defence. Already quite a mean defence, but adding Cook in there, I think that's going to be massive in what remains of the season. Keenan Davis bullied an Arsenal defence that went to Liverpool last night and kept a clean sheet and were gained all the plaudits, really. So in that respect, I think Forest will be confident in that result and confident that teams will now fear them as they continue. Steve Cooper starting to shape his team as he likes. And I feel that they're progressing really, really well. In terms of their attacking threats, we've seen that all season, likes of Brennan Johnson coming through. Lewis Grabban's still scoring goals, and Keenan Davis, I'm sure once he starts firing, he'll be a really, really good addition this season. So, I feel that Forest still prone to conceding the odd goal, but I feel that both teams will score here, and Forest probably will come out on top, and that's 13-2.
13-2. Also, you'd imagine Nottingham Forest will want to get back on the winning trail after losing their last two Sky Bet Championship games. So there we go. That's Billy's value bet this weekend. Forest to win at the Den and both teams to score. Ned, what is your value bet this weekend?
I'm going with Forest as well, but looking a little bit further ahead with my value bet, and that's really because obviously the value, the odds on it made it sort of impossible to ignore for me. It's 7-1 for Nottingham Forest to finish in the top six, which seems really long odds to me. I mean, they've obviously flown up the table rather under Steve Cooper, bottom when he arrived, and now find themselves just 6 points back from Huddersfield in sixth, the game in hand over the Terriers. Obviously, that had that huge result against Arsenal and just seemed to be really continuing to gather momentum. They've had a strong window and they seem to be really keen to continue to strengthen. So certainly look to be a side that will be considered, real playoff contenders. And I'm not saying obviously that they'll definitely get there, but I mean, for me, 7-1 is fantastic value for a team that I think have a great chance of securing one of those playoff spots, and certainly, really worth a punt. £5 returns 40 quid at the moment. So, I imagine things will probably shift a bit if they can get a win, as Billy's predicting against Millwall. But at the moment, 7-1, I think is just too good to ignore.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's fantastic value to get involved with. Definitely a price to get on now before this weekend's fixture at the Den. As ever, please do send in your comments. Morning, Wayne. Great to have you with us as ever. Good morning, guys. Hope you're all well from a Fulham fan. Yeah, we're all good this morning, Wayne. Right, we've got one more selection for you next. We're going to touch on the wildcard. So the wildcard bet is a bet that's a little bit left field, but we still feel could come in. Billy, what is your wildcard then for this weekend?
As always, I think I'm going more for feeling rather than reason, and I'm going for 3 players within the EFL to score 2 or more, and those players are Mitrovic, Ross Stewart and Dominic Telford. Mitrovic is sort of a common feature when I do speak about goals. But as I've said all season, he knows where the back of the net is. He's got the supply line in abundance, and we're with Fulham operating as they did against Reading. I imagine that could be the start of another really productive run for them. In terms of the goals they've already scored this season, I think they've scored 58. They've nearly doubled what West Brom have scored, and Mitrovic has been a key part of that. And I can imagine him going on against a side that will present him with the chances. I think Ross Stewart as well, another player that seemingly is always on the scoring sheet when Sunderland are playing at the moment. And I think he's more than just his poaching ability and goal scoring ability. He's proven to link up the play a lot more than the start of the season, and he's adding sort of all these different skill sets, and I think that's going to bode well for him in the box as well. Dominic Telford as well, another player that seems to be scoring every week. He's ability to score goals and his general all-round ability makes him a player that's shining in League Two this season. And for all them to score 2 goals, I've got it at 196.2 to 1.
Cool. Some whopping odds there from Billy. I like the sound of that one. Ned, what is your wild card then for this weekend?
Well, I've gone for 3 goal scorers as well, but it's certainly remarkably lower odds than Billy's there. I've just gone for anytime goal scorers. I've got Mitrovic as well. Obviously, Fulham, not to touch on it for too long, Sam, but they rediscovered their form in midweek, and now they face a Bristol City side, which I'll be there at Craven Cottage, and I'm expecting a lot of goals. Graben I've got as well. I think, as Billy said, I think there's probably going to be goals in that game at Millwall as well, and I think he's just looked at a sort of renewed player under Steve Cooper. Really, obviously bagged that goal against Arsenal, and I think there's going to be chances for Forest to sort of exploit the Millwall back three in the sense of, while the likes of Cooper, Hutchinson and co are obviously good players, when you've got players like Brennan Johnson and Zinkernagel who are capable really of putting the afterburners on and really causing issues, I think that's going to be a real issue, and I think that's going to lead to some chances for Lewis Graben, and then Matty Taylor to score any time as well against Wickham. I think a player like Taylor, who his movement, he's just so clever at picking up those pockets of space, and I think against a Wickham defence that that they can be got at, and I'm expecting him to pop up with a goal in what looks a really fantastic tie that should test really where Oxford are against the Wickham side that we're expecting to be, if not in that top 2, then around it. So that's Mitrovic, Graben and Matty Taylor to score any time. 10.71 to 1, £5 returns, 58.50. So I think that's fairly good return.
Yeah, very, very nice. Get yourself in the comments. What do you make of Ned and Billy's wild card this weekend? Billy's certainly a mammoth bet there that could potentially come in. But as ever, please do gamble responsibly. 18 and over. Right. Well, that brings the EFL betting show this morning to a close. Got some good selections there from both Billy and Ned. But that's not it from Football League World TV today. We've got 2 more shows for you. Both Billy and Ned will be involved in both of them. Billy hosting a show at 12:30, looking at Rotherham United's January transfer window. Billy's going to be joined by Millers fan Will Daniels for that one. And then at 4:00, Ned Holmes will be hosting the EFL weekend preview show. Lots of juicy matches to take a look at this weekend. Some really, really cracking ties for sure. But thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for all the comments, and we'll see you next time.